Hey, this is Chris DeMakes from Less Than Jake, and you're watching Mark and Me.
Hello and welcome to episode 481 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now I'm thrilled to announce that on today's episode, I'm joined by Chris from the awesome band Less Than Jake. This guy is an absolute legend, an amazing songwriter, amazing frontman, and incredible podcaster. And I can't wait to share that interview with you in just a couple of minutes' time. But as always, you know the score now. On every episode of Mark and Me, I'll always use the intro to touch base and talk about my last episode. And I have to on this one because it's my most downloaded episode of the whole year. Yes, Melissa, Ouf de Mer. It was mind-blowing. The numbers were insane. Thank you so much to everyone that listened. All the amazing feedback, all the messages. I think I've replied to each and every one of you now. But my God, it was phenomenal. So thank you so much. It was a huge moment for me personally. And I'm so glad that you all loved it as much as me. But today it's all about Less Than Jake. Absolute legends within the scene. They really are a band that me and my friends grew up listening to. And it's unreal to have them back on Mark and Me. And Chris is just a delight. So all I want to do now is to get straight to the interview. So here's me and Less Than Jake. Hello, Chris.
Well, hello. Emma told me you were good looking. I didn't know this good looking.
If only every guest said that at the start.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Where are you? I'm trying to work out.
I am in I guess if people were to see it from the outside, they'd call it a man cave. It's my studio. It's where all my memorabilia for the band is, but I don't call it a man cave.
It looks wonderful. I think I'm going to get distracted now looking at the guitars in the background and the stuff.
I could put a blur on, or I could get naked. Your choice.
Naked's always easier. It's quicker.
It certainly is.
So what I do basically with all bands that come on, even though the podcast is that actors, directors, all different people from all different walks of life, I'm really interested in that first album that maybe you bought with your pocket money, or maybe you'd been given this album, but that first one that sparked it all.
Well,
even if it's embarrassing, even if it's a terrible one.
I don't. I'll be the first one to throw myself under the bus. No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of being embarrassed. That's not it. It's just tough. I'll answer the question. It's going to be a little roundabout in a roundabout way. So my mom and dad, I grew up in a musician's household. They were, for lack of a better term, lounge singers. So they would play at the pubs, and they would play in lounges, and they'd play at the lounge at the bowling alley and the lounge at the Holiday Inn Hotel, and they'd play graduation parties, weddings, bar mitzvahs, company, retirement parties, you name it. They'd play at Elks Lodges, Moose Lodges, things of that nature. So my earliest memories were sitting on my dad's, lap in some smoky club, the east side of Detroit somewhere, or west side of Detroit. And, there was always music in the house. So there was always 45s. My earliest rocking out is documented. I don't remember. I was about 2.5 years old, rocking out to Free Ride by the Edgar Winter Group. And my dad filmed it on this old 8mm or 16mm camera. But the first one I remember that I went to the store and bought was by this band called the Jay Giles Band. The song was called Centerfold. And I bought the 45 for like $1 with my own money. And that started it. I already had a closet full of 45s that my parents had. But in my mind, that was theirs. I wanted my own. And once I got that was it. That started the obsession.
That's quite a cool start, isn't it? It's not like a really embarrassing one where people are like, "Well, it was terrible. My sister made me this mixtape and it was dreadful, but then it all sparked and then I found out that when I went to a local gig that I actually discovered punk." You're like, "Yeah, this is pretty good from the off."
Yeah, and it was weird. My parents in one sense were conservative, maybe not like you'd think of conservative today, but there was rules. We had a bedtime and we had structure within the home, but yet they were rock and rollers. So, I never remember bringing home any music that they ever challenged.
Yeah.
Lyrically, they might roll their eyes and go, "Oh my gosh, what are you listening to?" And most of the time they just laugh at it. A lot of when I started getting into the punk stuff and the lyrics were getting really crass and it was just trying to be offensive for offensive stakes. There was a couple lean years in there, but for the most part it was the green light.
Were they supportive when you turned around at one point and said, "I want to be in a band," or were they like, "Ugh, son, for fuck's sake, like this is not a real job"?
It's funny, a little bit of both, but looking back now, I started uni in the summer of 1991,
Yeah.
and the seeds were planted for the band then, and I was in school for about 3 years, and then I dropped out, and they were supportive of me going to school. They knew I was playing in a band, but I talked about it to them. They knew it, but I wasn't, nothing was really happening quite yet. But in the fall of 1994, that previous summer, especially here in the States, it was like, the MTV, the year punk exploded. So Green Day exploded, Rancid, The Offspring. And, I was sitting there as a young man. I just was convinced because we were about 2 years old at that point, the band. We were starting to break off little pieces in Florida. 200 kids were showing up here, 300 kids were showing up here, 100 kids were showing up here. We were selling merchandise. And it was more than just the local band playing up the road. Something was happening. Mom and dad had yet to see that. So I quit school around October of 94. I
Yeah.
walked out of a logic class. Mr. Liu was his name.
Wow. Shout
He was
out
a
to him.
he was a Chinese foreign exchange student, and God bless him, wherever you are, Mr. Liu. I couldn't understand hardly anything that he was saying, and it was an auditorium class. He spoke very broken English, and the first week, I remember there was 1,200 people in this huge auditorium, all taking notes. And by October, I was one of the few going. And I remember he was talking for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I was drawing less than Jake, doodles and logos on. And I just remember looking up, and this was one of the few times in my life I've had this kind of clarity. I looked at him, and I wasn't angry with him. I was frustrated with this facade that I was putting on. I did not want to be in school anymore. All I wanted to do was music and focus on that. I walked straight to they called it the registrar's office. Basically, I walked in hot. I was just like, I want to speak to a counselor now. I want to get out of here. The woman's like, whoa, she thought I was having a mental health crisis. I guess I kind of was, but I was happy. I was like, let's get this over with. I
Yeah.
want to get out of here. 2 months later, I get home. I'm in the back room playing guitar, working on songs for what's going to be Pezcore, Less Than Jake's first full album. We had done a bunch of music up to this point, 7-inch vinyl records and sorts. And I'm jamming away, and all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock. It's my dad. He's like, hey, your mom and I want to talk to you in the other room. I went, oh, shit. Because I knew what this was about. How's your grades? So I went out there, and dad asked how the grades were. And I just kind of looked down and bit my lip. And I told him that, that was it. I dropped out. The story I just told you 2 months ago. And dad got up, walked out of the room. He was mad because my mom had put a lot of effort into my brother and I for college. They had this thing called the Florida prepaid college program where it was pennies on the dollar. If you invested today, later on, and between that and I got some grants to go, then grants don't have to be paid back. They're not like loans. They were government grants that I had signed up for. I got pretty much a free ride to go to the University of Florida. And I kind of threw the opportunity away. I really did. I just couldn't focus. I couldn't mentally be there and live these two separate lives. Some people can. I have to put all my eggs in one basket. So mom, I remember her getting a little teary eyed, and I don't know if it was probably one of the only times my dad didn't want to talk to me for like a night. And I don't remember much after that except calling my father around March of 1995. So this is 3.5 months later, calling my father saying, "You're not going to believe this, but this guy from Capitol Records, EMI, called, and he wants to come see the band." And my dad's like, "You're pulling my chain," because like EMI Capitol, that's to my dad, that's the Beatles, that's
Yeah,
the
of
Beach
course. Yeah,
Boys,
that's
that's
serious
like,
fans. Yeah.
yeah, and he's flipping out. And around this time, he went up to North Carolina. My brother was going to school up there. He was actually playing baseball for North Carolina State, which is the other weird flip to the story because my dad played minor league baseball with the Detroit Tigers. I used to play ball too, but music won out for me. So my dad kind of got to live vicariously through both his sons, me with the music and my son, my brother with the baseball. So he's up visiting my brother, and there's this campus record store. And my brother's telling my dad, he's like, "Dad, I'm telling you, Chris's band, Less Than Jake's in there." And CD, my dad's like, "No way." Now, in 1995, if you had a CD as a band, as a punk band, you were legit.
Yeah, you'd
Okay.
made it.
It costs, you remember it cost money to have, to get CDs made. It wasn't like it is now. You couldn't duplicate them. That came out even a little later, the CD duping machines. But he saw the CD and he couldn't believe it. It was a couple CDs deep. It was like a new music section. It was our first album, Pezcore. I remember him calling me, and it just seemed like that opened the floodgates. That phone call from Capitol, him seeing that CD, and then less than a year, actually not less, a year later, I never even realized this. A year later, from me telling my parents that I wasn't going to go to uni anymore, my mom and dad, my brother, and my grandmother flew out to Los Angeles because we signed with Capitol in November of 95. And they came out there for that Christmas holiday. Our drummer, ex-drummer Vinny, his ex-wife now, but his wife at the time, her parents had a place in Long Beach out in California, had rented some big thing for the holidays. We all met out there. My parents came. Capitol Records threw us a party and had a show for us out there. And I got to take them on the roof where the Beatles played.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that tripped my dad out because there was a gentleman that was older, I say. He was probably 45 or 50 back then, but older guy. They have, of course, 24-hour security. And I had seen this guy in the building and whatnot. And I go up to him. It was still light out. And I just went, "Hey, man," it was during the holidays, so no one's in the building. By the way, this would never happen now. This is 31 years ago. There's no way this would happen now. You're not talking your way to the top of the Capitol Records building. But I get in and I introduce myself. I'm like, "Hey, man, Less Than Jake, Craig Aronson. He's our A&R person, 10th floor, blah, blah, blah." He's like, "Yeah, I know who you are." And all four of us, or five of us, my grandma, my mom and dad, brother, and myself, all got to go up on the roof.
Jesus, man.
Yeah. So
that's the validation you needed then for your dad to be like, "Okay, you've made the right choice."
Yeah, and then there it was literally, for my dad before he passed, it was another, 25 years of parties. He was at every one. He saw us at Reading and Leeds in 2002.
That's awesome.
My mom flew over for that. Roger's mom was there as well. He's seen us all over the United States. So they got to, like I said, both my parents got to live it.
There's obviously a moment for everyone that they start to realize the momentum of a band is picking up. So maybe you're doing these small garage shows or, the small venues, but then you start to see more people buying your merch or more people singing your songs back to you. Or there's that change. You just start to think, actually, this could become a job. Like, we might not have to just work in shops or go and get real jobs. Like, this could be the moment. Is that for you the moment that was enough for you to think, that's all I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Or was it later on?
It was actually before that. So
That's
uh,
cool.
it was so before I started that fall semester, and I never even, this is crazy because I've told all these stories a number of times in different ways, in different interviews before, but I've never really connected the dots in my own mind. I'm kind of tripping myself out right now with the timeline. So if we go back to August 13th, 1994, which is a
Yeah.
Saturday. Why do
Love
I
that
know
you know
that?
this.
Well, I do because you can't see it, but I've chronicled everything in this room. Like I'm a historian, so I have articles. Like
Yeah.
everything's in order. It's beyond anal retentive. It's almost embarrassing. They have medication for people like this, but August 13th, 94, Saturday night. I had hounded. They called him Daddy Cool, Tony Refugiato, who's Tony's a dear friend. He's been the promoter in the Tampa St. Petersburg area forever, and that's where Vinny and I used to go see shows when we were kids. So the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones were coming to Janice Landing, and I wanted to open the show. I was up there hounding Tony. He knew who I was. I was just the local punk kid, and he's like, "Just give me your number, okay? Like if something happens, I'll call you." And I got a phone call like 2 days before the show. Hey, Magadog, the opening act or the band from Tampa, they're going to open the show. Someone got sick or they had some commitment. You want to play? Yeah. So we get this show. We're an active band at this point. We had merchandise. We packed everything we had up and we get down to St. Petersburg to this legendary venue called, excuse me, Janice Landing, named after this fella named Tony Janus, Jannus. Years ago, he used to land his planes into that area in St. Petersburg. It was called Janice Landing. It was an outdoor open air venue, held about 2,000 people. We might as well have been playing a footy stadium. I mean, we had made it at this point.
Yeah.
We're opening for the Boss Tones. We come out, we're the opening act. People are still kind of filing in. By the height of it, near the end of our set, we probably played to 1,000 people, the most we'd ever played. The reaction was unreal because we had been playing for 2 years. We kind of were getting our banter down. We were fighting our way out of North Florida redneck bars. I mean, this wasn't Southern California where this band grew up. I mean, you had to have some teeth to get out of some of these places. So we're playing this legendary venue that we used to see shows at. Now I'm on this stage and the place is going nuts. And I remember us getting a better reaction than the band the Boss Tones were touring with at that time. I remember looking back and just being kind of amazed. And it wasn't like a pompous feeling. It was like there's something here. We sold out of all of our merchandise. And then the cherry on top was Dickie Barrett, an idol of ours, still a dear friend. And I look up to him. He's walking by the end of the night wearing a Less Than Jake shirt. I mean, you could have told me I won the lottery and went to heaven. I would have believed
Yeah.
you.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
it
that's
was
the
just,
point when you're like, that's enough for me. Like
I
that
didn't
is
I
it.
didn't realize it too really honestly on my dad's grave. I didn't think about that, how fast August 13th was. Labor Day, that's when school starts. End of August, September 1st. I was back in uni for another 2 months and I had this, and there was a number of things that happened. I was broke. I took this pizza. I was making pizzas in the mall. I think it was called Lisa's Pizza was the name, or Pizza Lisa. It was
Yeah.
called Pizza Lisa. And this older Italian man, again, 40 years old, 45, but we had found out about that Boss Tone show. I had been working there for like a week. I had no seniority at all to be trying to pull a card like this, but I was super nice. And hey, I have a opportunity in my band this Saturday. I know I was supposed to work, but I'll work the next week, in a row. Could you help me out? And he screamed at me like, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of just backed off and walked out. Took it and walked out, and that was the end of that. I didn't need that job. I didn't feel the need to be screamed at somebody like that over a pizza job. So there was a succession of things that happened to lead up to that final decision, but that's kind of how it all interweaved.
Have you been able to ever take a step back? And I know you talked about the folders in the background and how you've kind of categorized everything and documented your kind of journey so far, but have you actually been able to digest the fact that you're still in a band, you're still getting to tour 30
Oh,
years on, and the fans are still turning up? You've got that drive, passion, and love for it like day one. Like, that's rare. The bands I speak to that are just like, well, it's a job now, and it provides a home, and I enjoy it, but I miss my family, and so like you still have that hunger and that drive, like you're releasing your
because
first album, you know?
yeah, the band is it's ground control. The band is the epicenter. That's where everything filters through.
Yeah.
I have a podcast now. Chris DeMakes a podcast. It's a songwriting podcast. I've been going at it for 6 years.
Dude, I listened
Uh,
to it because you gave me a sticker at Slam Dunk and it was yellow and it had your head on it
oh
and a
yeah,
nice little
okay.
logo. And I was like, telling you about my podcast. I think you may have come on just for like 10 minutes. It was really,
No,
really
I know.
busy.
I was going to say you. Now that I'm talking to you, you look familiar. I know I've met you, so it's
Yeah,
probably.
and I think you came on for like 10 minutes. It was really quick, but you gave me one of these stickers and I was like, that's cool. Like, that's a cool sticker. Like, the logo, I remember being bright yellow and had like a cartoon of you. And I was like, ah, fuck yeah. And I genuinely have listened to your show, so that worked.
Oh yeah, so there's that. I started about 6, 7 years ago writing custom songs and jingles for businesses or for different things. So there was that. I'm doing appearances now at the Punk Rock Museum out in Las Vegas, where I go out and I've been out there. I just came back a couple days ago. Been out there 7 times now, giving guided tours. So I'll be out there for 3, 4 days at a time, and I'll have 2 groups a day that come through, and I take them through the museum and tell stories, etc. Again, none of this possible without the band.
No.
So there, for me to be ungrateful, and the blessing of it is that we've gotten to the point where we still push forward with new music. We're still an active band. We still have that hunger, as you say. But thank goodness we could. People refer to us as a legacy band. We have those songs. We don't have to record any new songs. We could rest on our laurels, but that's great to have that in your back pocket. We can pick and choose when we want to tour now. The band, all of us have other income sources outside of the band because of the band.
Of
and
course, yeah.
so it's the best of all worlds. For some reason, divine intervention happened, and I waited to have kids till I was 43, which was the best thing that ever happened to me. I have a 9 and 8 year old now that completely changed the focus of all this. Like I'm able to go out on tour now and have fun for the sake of being on tour, not to
Yeah.
have to make my own fun. I used to raise hell when I was younger, go out, party every night, and I can't do it because I'm too old now. I care too much about the fans. I
Yeah.
don't want to do it. It's like
It's tiring.
it's exhausting, and
Yeah.
I try to limit any type of poison that go. I try to eat well. I exercise a lot weekly, stay in shape, and I really enjoy what we do now. I
I go
always did, but in
I
a
go to
different way.
festivals now and then they're like, there's 3 days press and I'm like, oh, what? 3 days of getting up and having full days and late nights? I'm like, I can't do this, man.
Yeah, and then combine that with you have no control over the weather, so now it's muddy, it's crappy, it's cold, it's a whole plethora of other things that we didn't care about when we were 22.
No, it just didn't matter. But the good news is it's actually, you start your UK dates on my birthday, February the 27th.
It's
That's
a birthday the
very cool.
day after my mom's.
And you've got this incredible circus tour.
Yeah, it's called the Winter Circus. People ask why the circus. We've always kind of looked at ourselves as a spectacle. Anything goes. No two shows for our band are ever scripted. There's no cues. It's very fly by the seat of your pants. The jokes work sometimes. When they fail, that's also the beauty of it. I think that there's a humbleness that comes with all of us in the band. And we're still fans. We get up there and the kid that we yank up on stage in the front row, like, I wish I was that kid,
Yeah.
and I might embarrass the kid a little bit and might give him a little bit of shit, but he'll never forget it. And we want everyone to have a good time. when we're there, and we always wanted people to have a good time. But it's different even now when I say that, because you're looking out and there's a respect, and again, maybe it's because I have children, but I'm not going to be, I still think they're hilarious eighth grade dick jokes, but I'm not going to be dropping them when I got, a family with a 6 and an 8 and a 9-year-old in the front row.
Yeah.
When I was 22 and you want to bring your kids, that's your fucking problem. And they're going to get the jokes and the crassness of that. And, I don't need to be that way anymore. I have nothing to prove in terms of, I'm punk rock and he did this and did that. And I used to think that had to be part of the equation.
I love the lineup as well. Bouncing Souls is like the soundtrack to me growing up. Acrobats and the Barstool Preachers, like you get your money's worth there, don't you? Really?
You do. Barstool's interesting because they're this band that's been grinding away for a number of years now, but like they keep inching their way up. They're a band that stayed at it, and like their new record, the new single, I had them on to talk about Pick a Side, and it's just so good. I had Tom McFarlane, their singer, and Aquabats we've known forever. Bouncing Souls, gosh, we go back 30 years with those guys doing
Wow.
warp tours and stuff. And there's a picture of them in the Punk Rock Museum in Vegas, and I passed the corner and I was talking about them. I'm like, that's the Bouncing Souls I remember. There's a picture from like 1994, and they look like friggin' babies.
And you mentioned you've been doing your podcast. You're catching me up. You've got 423 episodes. So I know what it's like. It's a hard job. It takes a lot of research and energy and effort, but at the same time, it's one of the most rewarding jobs. And when someone tells me, "Oh, I've got a podcast," I'm like, "Oh my God, I need to up my game. I need to make sure that they're feeling it." And the reviews for your podcast, I've listened to some episodes. Genuinely, I absolutely love it, and I think what's really cool is that you get to talk to your friends, you get to talk to people behind the scenes. Is there some dream guests? Because this is what I don't get to talk to on the podcast, on interviewing bands. Is there dream guests that you're still really eager to try and make happen on your own podcast?
Well, yeah, I think that there's guys that would love to come on the podcast if they knew what it was about.
Yeah,
Okay. You know as well as I do, the word podcast is a 4-letter word to a lot of people because there's
yeah.
so many of them out there. And I'll be blunt, most of them are not of good quality. Okay. They're
It's a
just haphazard.
big,
They're thrown
huge word
together.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was my trepidation with the whole thing. Jumping podcast, everyone has one of those. Most of them stink, so I didn't really want to go there. But going back to your question, what was the
I suppose is there some dream guests? Have you got like
dream guest? Yes,
when I
so
started, I made a list of like 20 names, and I was like, this would be my dream, and then I'm very lucky I've ticked them all off. But
yeah. I started to say, I think if a couple of these guys, like I think if Elton John, I mean this, like Elton or Bernie, if this guy gets every second of the song. There's a lot of guys that love talking about their songwriting.
yeah,
And if they knew that I wasn't going to ask them about the drummer that screwed their ex-wife, and I wasn't going to ask them about that record that bombed, and I wasn't going to ask them about the scandal with the ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, it
yeah,
was just going to be about the song. And I've had guests come on that have been like, "Oh my God, that's so refreshing. Like you didn't ask me the dreaded question, when's the old singer coming back? No, I'm not going there." So as far as dream guests, I've had a number of them so far. I'd love to get James Hetfield from Metallica.
oh wow, yeah.
I'd love to get Brian May from Queen. A lot of these guys I want to get while they're still alive.
Can you
You know,
imagine those guys breaking down and exploring their songs and the backstory and what inspired it and the creation? When it'd be like, this week we'll talk Bohemian Rhapsody or Enter Sandman. It'd just be like,
well, and a lot of shows do that. There was a thing called Song Exploder. They don't talk to the guests though, so there
no,
are certain things that are out there. I think I have a unique take on
yeah,
it, but it's really it's about focusing and zeroing in on one piece of music and going through every nuance. And there's a lot of these singer songwriter types that I could see if they again knew that if I was going to stick on point with something, they'd be like, yeah, I'd love to go talk about my song. So I actually have a fella coming tomorrow that his name is Jeff Downs. He played in a band called Asia, and we're going to do an episode on the song Heat of the Moment. So He's a classic rock guy, 73 years old.
Oh,
He did a
nice.
he did a stint in the band Yes, and he started the band The Buggles. He also co-wrote "Video Killed the Radio Star."
Jesus,
So
man.
yeah, so I get to interview guys like this. I had John Oates on from Hall and Oates, Dee Snider from Twisted Sister, just guys I grew up listening to, and I've been able to sit across from them and break down a song peer to peer. I had a fella on, might have been Modern English. I broke down "Melt with You,"
Yeah.
and I had Mick on from Modern English, and I think it was near the end of the episode. I said something about, yeah, my band's going to be over in the UK soon. And he's like, all right, wait, okay, this makes sense now. Like, I couldn't figure out how some dude from a podcast, how you knew everything about my song. So he didn't connect the dots that I was a musician, I guess.
I love it. So that's something that you really enjoy, and I take that you'll just always invest in. Whenever you get spare time, you'll do as much as you can of it. Do you get to do it on the
Yeah,
road? I
so
mean, if there's stuff like, I know you had the Bounce and Souls on recently, but will you be able to get stuff done on the road? Can you, if you're at a
yeah,
festival, do you
well,
think you can try and get as much as you can while you're out there?
little secret that my listeners don't know, but we have episodes recorded through June right now.
Nice.
So we stockpile. So when I'm home, we try to get 3-4 episodes a week, plus other stuff we do. I have other voiceovers for ad reads and different things, and there's the prep for each episode that takes time. But as you know, there's a very, very small amount of podcasts that get to that point where like people can live off of them.
Yeah.
It's a grind, and I'm doing it for the love of it. There's a little bit of money coming in, but my producer of the show, my partner Chris, he pretty much does everything. All the editing. I'm very fortunate to have him. We've been working closely together for 6 years. Knock on wood, we've never had a crossed word or argument. We're very much the same person in organization. Very, OCD about, I'm going to send the file right now, and I'll send the file right now. I don't wait and
Yeah.
forget. And so
I'm
it's a
so
good,
jealous you have someone to edit your work for you. Like, that would be the dream.
yeah, well, and again, there's money coming in from ads.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, and so I'm not taking much from my podcast.
No,
my
no.
Because I know what I'm getting with my partner. He is so good at this. I'm very grateful.
Are there other things that you want to explore? Obviously, keep going with the band. You've still got the taste for it. You can rely on your old hits, but you're still writing new music. You're going out and having these incredible experiences. You've got your podcast. Is there other things that are on this tick list in life that you still feel like I need to tick them off?
No, I say no. I'm always looking forward to what's next.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't know what's next, and that's okay. I've learned that that's okay. Especially, I'm a little older now. I don't have to have a backup plan
No.
necessarily. I feel like my future's right now. It's just kind of moving forward. Not to sound cliche, but yeah, I look forward to seeing what the future brings, and I'm always going to be writing songs. So in some capacity, I'll be doing that, and uh, I don't know if I could. If my podcast could be a little more well known, and if that helped me get more guests, that'd be cool too.
It's such a, I feel like this will end up being a counseling session, but people that listen to podcasts don't understand that you don't just suddenly walk along the street and then suddenly you've got, I don't know, Chino from Deftones saying, "Hey, can I come on your podcast?" Like, the world does not happen like that. And
No, it's an insane grind, and like
yeah,
yourself, you've gotten hooked up with a publicist. A lot of these guys, I mean, we had to meet these publicists. I'm in the business, but there's a million of them out there. So now you got to get connected, and you have to find the ones that are going to work with you.
yeah,
The ones that come in hot, and then you get ghosted. You're like, what happened? Or they'll say, hey, this guy has a new record out. I'd like him to come on your podcast. And you're like, okay, cool. And these are my available dates. And then they ghost you. And you try back, and you try back, and you try back. So uh, it's a lot of failure to end up with an episode.
Yeah, I have always said when everyone's like, "Oh, you're so lucky that you got, I don't know, Brandon Boyd from Incubus." I'm like, for every one Brandon Boyd, there's 100 no's. There's 100. They never came back to me, or they just literally ghosted me, like you said. And people don't realize that that one bit of gold that comes through, I've had to spend years, genuinely sometimes years, cracking to get to that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just got to stay on it, you know. And the thing about it is you have to have a backup plan for content. Sometimes be like, okay, you know what? I'm at the end of the year. I got stuff lined up for January, but I'm going to do a couple throwback episodes for the last 2 weeks. I'm going to take the
Yeah.
best of this and that, and combine the show to keep your listeners going. You know, and sometimes those things have to happen within a show's context, and you got to keep it fresh for yourself. It hasn't gotten old. It hasn't felt like a job yet
No.
to me, so I love it.
Same here, and I'm this year will be 10 years for me. And every time I go to a festival, I no conversation's the same. You know, even if you've had the band on before, if you've had the artist or director on
Yeah.
before, they've always got something new to talk about, or there's always a topic that you didn't actually remember to talk about originally, like with you today. And until it feels stale or it feels like I've got no more questions to ask, I'll keep on doing it. I say to people, I can imagine myself being 80 and still releasing it. And if there's only two people that listen, I'll keep doing it.
There you go.
80 seems quite far away.
It's
Uh,
yeah, a little ambitious, but hey,
yeah, I mean, welcome back, Chris, for your 91st appearance on the
yes.
podcast. How's it going with the Less Than Jake tour to celebrate 55 years? But yeah.
And it took me a week to get back to you because I can only go so fast with my walker.
Oh
You know.
God, that'd be it. Well, you'll just be transported in AI into the room. It'll be
Yeah.
some robot weird shit. But are you excited about these dates coming up? I mean, it's not long, is it? Literally just over a week now, and you're going to be
Over a week.
across the
Yeah,
pond with us guys.
that's right. We're going to start in Bristol, go to Birmingham, London. We got Nottingham in there, Leeds, Glasgow, and I said Bristol. Where's the other one?
Bristol's at the start. I know that because that's my birthday night.
Bristol,
So
Leeds, Manchester, three, Glasgow, four, London, five, Birmingham, and what am I missing? One. I say
Bristol,
Nottingham.
Birmingham, Nottingham, London,
Manchester,
Manchester, Leeds,
Leeds.
Glasgow.
Yeah, okay. I got them all.
That's cool. And then a couple of weeks off, and you're hitting everywhere in America. I think it looks pretty busy. Then
Yeah,
Europe.
well, yeah, we've got a couple shows in Florida, and then we're going to be back over the pond this summer. We're going to be playing Boomtown Festival, and we got some European dates as well.
That's
So
awesome, man.
we'll be busy.
So my final question is, and I do this on every podcast, is I like to end the podcast with a choice of song by the guest. So to try and keep it as original as I can, you choose the piece of music that's played at the very end. I don't expect it to be one of your own songs. It can be a song that means a lot to you personally. Maybe it influenced you. Maybe it's a song you'd have at your funeral. Maybe just it's a song that you just fucking adore. But when I ask the question to musicians, maybe five or six songs are in your head at the moment. But let's try and whittle it down just to one to close today's episode.
All right. Um, we're going to go to an Englishman. Going to go to Sir Elton John with "I'm Still Standing."
That's a hell of a tune.
It's awesome.
What's the reason you think that one came to? I mean, we did just talk about Elton John, but what's the reason you think that one came to you today?
Well, I'm a '80s Elton guy.
Yeah,
So, because that's when I grew up. You know, I was born in the '70s, but of course, I went back and discovered his catalog over the years, all the great classics from his whole career. But that song was just, it was on the radio. It had a swing to it, the swagger that's just, it was just rock and roll, something cocky about it. The video, he had like I think he had a white suit on in the video, and he's just, he's Elton, man.
I
It's
was
cool.
late to Elton John, so my favorite film, well, the best film ever made, in my opinion, is Jaws. Like, that's the best film I've ever seen because I can't believe they did it with the budget and the time and Spielberg's one of his first. But my favourite go-to film is Almost Famous. Like, I think it's just an absolute classic. And when I first heard Tiny Dancer by Elton John on that film, that was my first proper, like, oh my God, like Elton John is actually phenomenal. Like, I never really took him seriously. It was just because of my age, and I was like, I love
Yeah.
Deftones and Pearl Jam and Green Day. And then I listened to Elton John and kind of went down this 6 month rabbit hole, and I was like, oh my God, like the guy's a genius.
Yeah, I hated Duran Duran growing up,
Yeah,
because my best friend's sister used to have them blasting in the house all the time when I was over there hanging out. But once I took a deep dive into that band, I mean, you want to talk about songwriting?
yeah,
Everyone in that band is a ripper. Great band. I wrote them off as a cutie dance pop band, and they if you explore a little more under the hood, man, unreal.
yeah. It's I blame myself for being ignorant, and I'll put it all on me. But I was like, nah, Elton John's just not for me. He did that song about Diana. I just don't really get it. And then I listened to the old stuff, and I was like, I did the same with Elvis. I was like, oh, it's my dad's music. I'm not really into it. And I was like, oh man, that guy can write a song. There's some good stuff there. And then I did
Yeah.
it recently with In Excess. I was like, oh, they're not my. They passed me. And I listened and Depeche Mode, and I'm like, oh God, like why was I so ignorant? Why was I just this guy?
Yeah, yeah, I'd like to think that, you grow up and you start to, be more open to things. But I was starting to go the other way until I got my podcast. That really reinvigorated my ears for what's new. I want to listen to what's new. I want to understand it. I don't
Yeah,
want to dismiss it as this doesn't hit my ear. Well, why doesn't it hit your ear? What is this? And I found some really interesting music that way, stuff that I would dismiss on the first three notes, where I give it the full song. I'm going to give it a fair shake. And if I make up my mind at the end of 3 or 4 minutes and I don't want to listen to it again, so be it. But I'm not going to dismiss stuff just by the fact of dismissing it.
do you think, I know we're going on a bit now, but is that the biggest thing the podcast has taught you, that music is so disposable that now because of streaming, you won't spend $12 on an album, listen to it in its entirety, and kind of justify you spent $12? So you'll listen and listen and kind of fall in love because you, as a kid, would have worked maybe a paper round for a whole week to buy that one album, and now you can just click and go, ah, fuck it, this isn't very good. Next, shuffle.
I think
Has it?
maybe I think there's quite a few people that maybe think of it that way, or a lot of people that, you
Yeah,
could make the argument that music's disposable. It's the other way for me now. I love it. I love that I can go on Apple Music or Spotify and I can find anything I want. When I was a kid and I didn't have the money for all this music, and now I can go back and go, yeah, what did that offshoot band of the Talking Heads sound like? Oh, the Tom Tom Club. Oh, there it is. And
nice.
be able to listen to it. And so it's been good for me.
Awesome, man. I know our paths will cross again. I'm sure festival season next year and UK shows. I'll try and make one of the ones
Yeah,
at
man.
the end of next week. And I appreciate you coming back on, dude. It's a pleasure to see you again, and I'm just really glad to see how healthy you're looking and happy you are, and that life's good, man.
Yeah, likewise. And before we break, watch this. Hey, this is Chris DeMakes from Less Than Jake, and you're watching Mark and Me.
Perfect.
I
I
don't fuck
need that.
around.
I love that. God, that's really good. That'll be my little teaser for next week. No bands ever want to do that. You finish the interview and you're like, can you just say you're listening to Mark and Me? And they're like, oh, and it just takes everything out of it. It's not natural. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, oh,
It's like you're asking them to fucking pull your house down the
I
road or something. It's
know.
like, dude,
It just,
yeah,
but thank you, dude. It's a pleasure. And I know our paths will cross, and I'll tag you in on all the socials and tell everyone to subscribe to your podcast and do all the things that all of us do to help each other along this journey.
absolutely, mate. Have a great rest of your evening.
You felt that something, it's something that keeps you sane. Yeah, and you can't explain why, but you know it's what's left inside you. Yeah, and I know it's out there. It's something that keeps me sane. Yeah, and I can't explain.
So there it is. There's my interview with me and Chris. What a legend, what a hero, what a beautiful human being, and so much fun. A natural podcaster, a natural frontman, and just an all-round great guy. I hope you all enjoyed the interview as much as me, and if you did, guys, you know what to do. Share the episodes. You've all got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Get on there, share the episodes. I see each and every single one of you doing it every week, and it really goes a long way, and I never take it for granted. But it's the way we can get the name of Mark and Me out there for no money at all. I don't have this marketing budget. I don't pay Facebook ads or anything like that. It's all about hard work and word of mouth. So if you can just literally click a few buttons and share the episode, it's so gratefully received. Also, guys, I have sponsors of Mark and Me. So first of all, Richer Sounds. If you want to get yourself anything to do with audio and visual, go on richersounds.com or visit any of their high street stores. And finally, Vice Press, the best poster company in the world. They don't pay me to say that. It's genuine. They have the best artists, the most incredible licensed prints. And if you add any of their new stock into your basket and use the discount code MarkandMe26, it's changed, so it's MarkandMe26, you will get yourself 10% off your first purchase. The only other thing I want to say before I go is I do have a Patreon account, so if you sign up on there, you can get a welcome pack. It supports the podcast, and all the money that goes into that goes directly into the marketing, going out there and doing all the things for Mark and Me, giving me travel across the country to cover festivals. But so far for this year, I've donated all of it to cancer research. Right, I'm going to say bye now because I've got another episode to edit, and that'll be out in a few days' time. So until then, look after yourself, listen to Less Than Jake, and I'll see you all very soon.
You can never know what it's like. Your blood like winter freezes just like ice. And there's a cold and lonely light that shines from you. You wind up like the wreck you hide behind that mask you use. And did you think this fool could never win? Well, look at me, I'm coming back again. I got a taste of love in a simple way. And if you need to know while I'm still standing, you just fade away. Don't you know I'm still standing better than I ever did? Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. And I'm still standing after all this time, picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm still standing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Once I never could have hoped to win. You're starting down the road and leaving me again. The threats you made were meant to cut me down. And if my love was just a circus, you'd be a clown by now. No, I'm still standing better than I ever did. Looking like a true survivor, feeling like a little kid. I'm still standing after all this time, picking up